evening, all you lovely people out here. How are we doing? We're so excited to welcome you all to Artist Circle brand new episode of FB Live Talk Show. To tell you a little about all of us, Kunwar Viyogi Memorial Trust has initiated this Artist Circle, which is a virtual art gallery. Artist Circle is a unifying platform for artists across the globe to converge, engage, and inspire fellow artists. Our mission is to showcase the extraordinary work of great artists across the globe while promising to heal, inspire, and stimulate other artists. On behalf of the Artist Circle, myself, Tulika Banerjee, editor of the Trust, extends a hearty welcome to our special guest today, someone who lives life on her own terms and has inspired the world with her work and is an epitome of women empowerment. We welcome you, Ms. Mahabanoo Mody Kotwal, a nationally and internationally renowned producer, actor, and stage and screen actor. She became India's first female stand-up artist in the mid-1990s and since has performed to rave reviews in Mumbai, Pune, Calcutta, Hyderabad, Madras, London, Sri Lanka, and Singapore. We also have with us our founder, Ms. Poonam Singh Jamwal, who is a multifaceted personality herself. She is a thought leader and a driving force in the digital marketing space. Ma'am, would you like to welcome Mahabanoo, ma'am?
Yeah. It's such an honor to finally meet somebody whom I've been wanting to meet for last 5 years. and more so, I was just sharing with Mahabanoo that I watched the monologue 3 years ago with my son, and I think it is one of the most inspiring piece of work, very, very essential for our society. Though we are a very evolved, old culture, that is India, and the most beautiful thing about India is that we are kind of a melting pot. We take in everything and we re-engineer ourselves every time, like ship of Theseus, as everybody understands. But somewhere there is a little rotting in the wood here or there that needs to be called out, repaired time and again, and new nails have to be hammered in that ship that is India or our culture. And somehow I think monologue has played a great role in bringing things we live with but ignore, like we ignore the muck on the street and then carry on our beautiful lives. It has brought it on our dining tables, and that is something most beautiful, that the contribution beyond everything else that Mahabanoo has done. And I think that should be the center of the discussion today. I was sharing with Ms. Mahabanoo that I am more honored to have her here because I have led a very inspired life with a very special man who was the first feminist I knew. And his feminism was not through slogans, but by living it, giving that basic respect of right of an individual to every woman he met in his lifetime or he mentored. And I think that is the way forward. We are not supposed to change other people. All revolutions have to start from our own homes. And that is what is most critical of the message an artist gives through his art form. So I'm looking forward to hearing Ms. Mahabanoo very, very eagerly. And I would like to tell you, ma'am, that the artist circle was, we do have almost 2,000 artists in the circle with us. They come and share their artwork, something about themselves in a WhatsApp or something. But we realize that each one of us as individual who may not be an artist and an individual who's an artist, they have such beautiful journeys that they've had through their creative journey, personal journey, that once they are in the spotlight, then we can take strength from each other to kind of power on in the great blessing that God has given to the artist. You know, common mortals don't have this blessing. And that blessing, if can be shared, the stories behind those blessings can be shared, then it will add so many multi dimension to the art that they present. So the whole purpose was to share your journey, to learn from you, and also get up the next morning and say, I can also do it, and I can do it better than yesterday. So thank you once again.
Thank you for having me.
And one line that I like to leave you with, that Kunwar Viyogi Trust has one line which says, share abundance. All of us are blessed with abundance. We forget to share it. So this is a step to share that abundance that you have. And welcome, and over to you, Tulika.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your inspiring words. Now we are all geared up to know about Miss Mahabanoo's journey.
So can I intervene and ask the first question?
Please, we'll be honored.
I'm taking this. I want to understand that how your creative journey, or your exploration in self has impacted your son.
My son.
Yeah,
I
because I feel we lead certain lives, and we might want to change the world somewhere. The ones who are closest to us are impacted by it, positively, negatively, however. So how's your impact been on your son?
that you will have to ask him one day. You call him on your thing and ask
No,
him.
no, but as a parent, how do you feel it has?
Yes, the most wonderful son ever. And I think what I did was, I always tell my children, my daughter did ballet, at, under the London School of Dancing, and she passed all the professional exams there. She too, I just allowed them to do what they liked and wanted them to be happy doing what they wanted. Because the worst thing in life is to be doing something that you're unhappy doing, which I was for a number of years, because I was not into acting till quite some time in my life. And then suddenly my son gave me the opportunity. So that's how it started. But I do feel that parents need to let their children lead their own lives instead of living vicariously through them. Because my
Mhm.
father, who was a wonderful person, he wanted me to become a doctor. And I neither had the brains nor the inclination to become one.
Yeah.
For several years, I sort of gave in. I started doing theatre very young in life, at school level, and at the age of 3, for my school, for an inter-school competition, we won the first prize, and I was exactly 3 years old, and I can remember that day perfectly. And after that, I trained with this phenomenal woman, you must have heard of her, called Hema Kezarkori. She studied at RADA, the Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts, and she was a colleague of Gielgud and Laurence Olivier, and I believe she won the gold medal over there.
Okay.
And she didn't tell me this, but the other teachers in the school would talk about her, and I would get to know from them. She was this marvelous teacher, just marvelous. And when I was 16 years old, she got me a scholarship to an acting school in New York. And my father put his foot down and he said, no good Parsi girl ever goes into acting. And when I did go into acting at a later age, my mother said, your father must be turning in his grave.
So there is a creative compulsion, no? When you bottle it up, it kind of kills you.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, it didn't really kill me.
Mhm.
I did 2 degrees for his, satisfaction. I got one in microbiology chemistry and I did one in geology chemistry. Hated all of it, but had a super time in college. Really enjoyed myself. And then I went to America with my estranged husband, and now estranged husband. I went there because somebody had to work and pay for the fees, and I left my son when he was a month and a half old here in India with my mother. Went there, found a job luckily, and I worked with the man who formulated Crest toothpaste. My life has been like a roller. I mean, it's just gone into so many different directions. At the Preventive Dentistry Institute in Indianapolis, I worked there, and then I came back to India and really did not do much except creatively. I joined this wonderful group called Indus International.
Mm-hmm.
And they had various different areas of interest, like book reading, performing arts, religion, philosophy. So I joined the performing arts group, and it was very funny. The first year I joined, they were doing a play, and I so wanted to be in it. And there was this wonderful woman called Kamilini Parpya. She was magnificent, absolutely. She would write. She could do Marathi, Hindi, English. Then she would write her own little skits. But this one play that she was doing, I wanted to be a part of it. So I went up to her and I said, "Ma'am, do you mind? I would like to audition." She said, "There's no room just now." I was a newcomer. She said, "There's just nothing now." So I said, "Please give me something." So she said, "Okay." You sit at the end of the stage in the front on a desk, and every time the phone rings, you pick it up and you say, "Sorry, wrong number." And that was, and afterwards, when I started doing professional theatre, she would come to every show of mine and she would hug me and she would say, "You remember how you had to beg me to do?"
It is like becoming the tree behind the actors, no, just
It
to
was
get
so
a
funny, yeah, but she was the most amazing woman. And I learned a lot from her also. And she gave me a chance to do one Marathi piece, which I've never ever done Marathi again in my life, which I would love to do because I love the language. It's very powerful, it's very strong.
Mm.
And I remember doing a tableau with her in wearing a nawari and all.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then coming down to where the professional this thing started was I had a lot of trouble with my menstruation, and I had to, at quite a young age, get sort of a panhysterectomy. And my son came down from America for after his first year for liberal arts, and he brought a play with him. That's why I say he's impacted me more than I've impacted him. So he,
But sorry to cut you in, but the reason I asked you that a lot of times parents are told that they should not be selfish and they should think about their children, okay, when they make choices. And I've always stood by the adage that if you are yourself and if you're fulfilled and you are, you know, you have achieved the joy of your being, your child gets a permission to be himself. You know,
I understand
then
what.
the reverse that you're saying starts coming from them. So sorry. So
That's fine. Because I do feel that these days, I used to feel a few years ago that parents in India, I'm talking of the privileged class, they
yeah,
give too much to their children.
yeah,
Now I've realized they give too much and they give too little. They give too much of that which is not needed
not
and
me.
too little of that which is needed.
Absolutely.
That is where I think one should really be careful when you have children. This is
And
my.
the very facts, but see how sensitive he was to what you are to offer you that. You have, that's what I'm saying. There's a language that begins.
That was a bit of a. He found four actresses. My life started with monologues, and he couldn't find the fifth one. And here I was at home doing nothing, and he said, "You want to give it a try?" And I was dying to do something. So I said, "Yeah, let's go ahead." And that was the start. It was really the start in 1988.
Yeah. It's
So when it
fantastic. Wow. So that means you started with monologue.
I start not with these monologues. It was a play called Eden Creek, written by his professor, Dr. Dwight Watson. So Dr. Watson had written a piece with different women, 5 women living in the same area in America, in the Midwest during the Great American Depression.
Okay,
So
okay.
each woman didn't know the other, but she gave her story. So it was there was a doctor, there was a lawyer, there was the girl who went to the first World Fair. There was
Okay.
this woman who got married to a very old man because he had money and the father wanted to, uh,
Was this monologue inspired from there? Is the
no,
story
no,
somewhere
no,
or
it had
no?
nothing.
Okay,
It had
okay,
nothing to do with it. No. It was,
all
it was called Eden Creek.
right. Okay.
This
I'm
one
going
is
to
called
read.
the vagina monologues. Well, in one way, those were also a kind of vagina monologues because there were different stories. And this is the thing about I feel people mistake the word vagina
Yeah.
and use it in a different sort of. Actually, the vagina is the spirit of the woman. It is there that violence is, you know,
Inflict.
committed. Yeah, where it is brutalized. And so I always think of the vagina monologues as something that talks about the spirit of women.
Yeah. The way they use, in the Indian mythology, you call it yoni.
That
Yeah.
is the Hindi
Yes.
translation. We've done a Hindi
So,
translation. You've not seen
as
that.
yeah, as much as
Calcutta.
okay. You've already done
Yes,
the
yes, we've had lots of shows.
okay.
Performed it. It was a disaster because financial disaster because not very many people came to see it. But people who saw it said it was phenomenal. I think the translator Ritu Bhatia and Joydeep Sarkar, there were two people who did the they were amazing. And of course, after doing the translation, I had to send the script over to E. Densler.
For
Once
validation.
she did it, she must have shown it to somebody who knew Hindi, and then she gave me the permission. It wasn't that just because I had done the English.
That she let you do it.
Yeah.
Welcome again, and I'm going to step back and listen to you, and over to Tulika, and
Thank you.
I'll be best of luck with the talk.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Mahabanoo ma'am, you have been so phenomenal. I mean, there is a huge audience across the world right now who is listening to you, who is looking at you and wanting to draw as much inspiration and as much lessons of life from this conversation. You began with the fact that as a child you wanted to do different things. So the world right now knows you as this fierce, bold lady who has been talking about things which were considered taboo, and who has done plays and roles which are absolutely out of the box. How was Mahabanoo as a child?
Unmanageable. No, I was interested in a lot of things, and my father let me do everything as far as educating myself was concerned. So I took
Great.
drawing lessons. I even took singing lessons. I did Bharatanatyam lessons, and you won't believe it, with two gurus. And
Okay.
I must not have been very good at it, but I did do it. But it gave me a different perspective into things that I wanted to do later on.
Yeah, I'm
Unfortunately,
sure.
those things didn't materialize till I was, in the 1980, in 1988. But still, it gives you a. I used to do drawing. I entered drawing competitions, won prizes there.
Oh,
So it
fantastic.
was, it was an all-round sort of, and my father encouraged me in everything. But he wanted me to study. And when I went to college, he told me two things. He said, study and don't talk to boys. As long as I
How
got to talk to
typical.
Baba, he was very happy. College was wonderful. I enjoyed myself thoroughly. And as a child, I was very naughty. And I even have friends on Facebook who were in class with me who tell me about all the fun times we had and how I used to. But it was good fun. As a child, I think I had a good time. I don't know about how other people felt, but I had a great time.
This question is actually especially related to our youth, and I think your answer is absolutely to the point, that no matter what you do, you need to enjoy yourself first. So that is prime.
I'll tell you something, I think the worst thing in life is to follow a career which you.
And while all of you are here, let me also tell you that she has been awarded a lot of awards, the most recent being the Karmaveer Puraskar. And she has been awarded that especially for her work towards women, and more especially suppressed women. She is one inspiring person. Let us also talk about the immense amount of movies that she has done, and she has played bold characters in all of them. She has played someone in black and a lot of other movies which we have seen. And Miss Mahabanoo Mody Kotwal is one person who has always done something which has been extraordinary. I would like us to be joined by a fan of Mahabanoo Kotwal, who is Apurvah Sahay Aarzoo. She's also a theatre person herself. Good evening, Apurvah. How are we doing?
Hi, how are you? I'm doing
I'm
very well.
great.
It's
Yeah, we thought
a
that
pleasure.
great welcome here, and while we wait for her to join in, would you like to tell us about your journey as a theatre artist, and the way you were talking to us about the fact that you at one point of time in one of your college plays you were considering doing some kind of rendition to do with the vagina monologues?
Yes, absolutely. So I've been into theater since I was a child, and when I got into college, that is when I really got to know that this is something that I would want to do all my life. And when I got the opportunity to be with somebody so great like Miss Mahabanoo, it is an absolute treasure for me to take back, home. Okay, we're actually at home, but it's okay. So, so, actually for me, theater was something that came to me very naturally. If you meet my parents, if you talk to my parents, you will actually get to know it's actually in the blood. And it is something that, it's not only an art form for me, it is something, it is my identity. While my, by profession, I'm a marketeer, it really helps me actually to talk to clients also and actually understand their needs also, is because I come from a background of theater. And
Absolutely.
as she's been saying that, when you're following a career that you're not happy with, trust me, I really had hit a roadblock when I was passing out of college. I was selected for the Fringe Festival. There was a huge
Mhm.
passport issue that happened, and I had left my first job. I got recruited through college, and I went there for 2 days, and then I
Okay.
got my letter that I've been selected, and my mentor, Mr. Keval Arora, had like told me that we want you on board, and
How
I
wonderful.
dropped my job right there and then, and it was unfortunate with whatever had happened, but I couldn't really go and perform a play over there, and so when we were in college, the vagina monologue was something that I was in Gargi, which is a girls' college, right? So we were, and girls from the theater circuit, especially, have a real good sense of individuality. I was absolutely stunned. Being a tomboy, I was like, oh my god, I'm going to have a really bad time over here. I think so. And we discovered theater together, and then we read the play. It's actually the English version, and we wanted to perform it for as an annual production.
Yeah.
We were not allowed to because of the language, the
Yes.
taboo around
Yes.
it.
Yes.
While we
Yes.
would have loved to do it, and I really wish we can maybe in the future, as pointed out rightly by Miss Mahabanu, that having a live audience is really important, because personally for me it's like a high, and
Totally.
right, so virtually it's something that it will not do justice to the play as well.
True. 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 But these are bad times. These are Corona times.
Absolutely,
Uh,
absolutely.
So, Apurva, which college didn't allow you to perform it?
We were actually wanting to perform it in Kamla Nehru, right
That's
next to it.
Delhi, in Delhi.
Yes,
But we have
yes,
come to Delhi 20, 30 more times and performed.
in college.
No, no, not in college.
Yes, yes,
Yes, we
absolutely.
are at the Jamia Ismailia. We
Oh
have,
wow,
yes, we are.
that's
that's an
Yeah,
achievement.
amazing.
that is a feather in our cap.
Wow.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. So, Mahamanu ma'am, you were telling us about your journey.
I will not talk to you if you call me ma'am.
See, this is what we like about you. You're so young at heart and you're so inspiring at all times. So you have already told us about the fact that the memories of your first play, and you have donned so many hats. Like you've been an artist, you've been a theater artist, and you are also an activist, because that's what you do through your plays and also with your foundation. So which of these roles is closest to your heart?
I feel that one should use art to further causes. It can easily be done and it should be done, because I feel that the art of any era is the true history of that era. And if you destroy that, or if you don't allow it to be performed, as she said, you're just destroying the history of that time. Or if you tear down artists' paintings because they are nudes, or because what you're doing is you're actually tearing up the history of that particular time. And it is a shame, because every artist has something very special to give to the world, whether he's a pianist, whether he's an artist, or whether he's a performer in films or theater or whatever. You know, I like
True.
puppeteering. Is a great art, I think. I saw something very beautiful on television the other day with puppets. So I feel that anything with art, you can use it, to further a cause. And that's when
Absolutely.
vagina monologues came along for me. I decided that I must use this play to further, but it came into, it was, as you had said, it was by luck that I came upon this play, you know, and I think I've used it quite well to further the cause of women's empowerment and, you know, to help shelters for battered and abused women, to help individuals of abuse and rape. And still, you know, one does so much, and you can't do it all. You
True,
can't do it
true.
all till you change the mindset of society. But we are taking steps. I'll tell you, just last year, a very progressive school in Bombay, the R.N. Podar School, asked us to come. The principal must have come and seen the play. I was not aware of it. She called me up and she said, would you perform this for my students from the
Okay.
10th, 11th and 12th standard? So I said, I'd love to do that, but I cannot just pick the good parts and, you know, perform those.
True,
The
true.
play has to be done in its entirety, according to the rights that I've got from the playwright. And
Absolutely.
the play is brutal, it is explicit, it is hilariously funny, it is very sad, it is poetic. But don't ask me to pick out the good parts and not the ones that are very brutal. And she said, no, I don't want you to do that. I want the entire play. So we did the entire play. We had the boys in a separate show, the girls, only because initially we didn't want them to get any, you know, unnecessary tittering or laughing or embarrassment.
Yeah,
And
true.
then for the next 2 days, we did extensive workshops. Kaizad and I did extensive workshops with the children regarding what they got out of the play. And I tell you, Tulika, that was fantastic. You know, this
How
play,
awesome.
it should be on the syllabus of sex education for every school, for every
True.
school. And since then, we've done a lot of things with that school. You know, I did workshops on rape with them, on gender inequality, and it all comes from this one play.
True,
You know what
true.
I'm saying? This one play,
Absolutely,
I think
absolutely.
it was written with such purity of purpose by events, with such integrity that nobody finds it offensive. I'll tell
Very true.
you, we've been performing for 18 years, and there were only 2 comments. We keep a comment book outside the theatre. So we asked people to write down whatever they felt, good, bad, ugly. We are used to everything. There's
I'm
only
sure.
one real written comment by a man in Hyderabad who said, this is all bullshit. Okay, so that was his. And then
His
once,
perspective.
yeah, that's his perspective and he's welcome to it. And I never argue with any. I'll tell you, so many of my friends have never seen the vagina monologues. When I started doing it, they were sort of quite upset that, what are you doing? And
Totally understandable.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, it happens, you know. So
Yes, that's what it is. I mean, like even today, when we consider ourselves to be a part of a very, very modern civilization, when people are actually talking about everything and the censorship is very, very low, even today, I think open talk about a subject like this is still considered taboo in a lot of places, and not everybody is as open as about it. So I think Apurva has a very interesting question related to your experiences with the play.
Yes. So, a lot of people, as mentioned, do not know about this play, but the people who have been impacted by this, the question is, can you share with us some instances where,
I would
people
love
come
to.
up to you and it has really, moved them?
I will tell you. But you know, I said there were 2 instances, and I said one about the man in Hyderabad. The other
Yes.
instance that sort of unnerved me a little because it came from the theatre fraternity. In 2004, when Eve and Jane Fonda and Marissa Tomei came here, and we had these big fundraisers, we also did a play reading of another of Eve Ensler's play.
Okay.
And, you know, it was a quiet sort of thing, no tickets, nothing. We just read the play. And 2 Hindi theatre directors came to me and they said, you know, Mahabanoo ji, ये थोड़ा titillating play था आपका vagina monologues. And I said, seriously? I said, abuse and rape of women and brutalizing of women is titillating. Then one needs to change society's mindset totally, you know, and especially if theatre people, who according to me, theatre is one of the things that really opens up your mind. Any art form really opens up your mind, you know. I mean, today I would feel absolutely no compunction to, if I saw a naked woman walking on the road, I wouldn't sort of turn around and ogle or do anything like that.
Absolutely.
So, but now I'll get down to your question. There are several instances. One of them was, I was going to Delhi for a show, and in the airplane, I was taking my seat and I was settling down, and the girl from across the aisle, some girl I did not know, she got up and she said, "Ma'am, can you get up and I want to hug you? Do you mind if I hug you?" So I said, "It's okay, you may hug me, but I just want to know why." Some random woman in the middle of the plane, everybody settled down, everybody's sort of looking why the. So she took out her phone and she showed me a picture of me with a young man standing next to me. And she said, "This was the happiest moment of my life." And I said, "I'm so happy," because one of the taglines of the Vagina Monologues is, "If you want to find a good man, you go to the Vagina Monologues." And I said, "I'm so happy and I'm so delighted that you found this true love in your life at the Vagina Monologues after watching your play."
Yeah, so this is what happens. I mean, like a play like that impacts you in such a way. See, there have been, Mahabanoo ma'am was telling us before this show began that there have been varying kind of responses. Some people who have been hit hard, like she just mentioned that this man who did not like it, and some women who got strength from her play, to this person who actually found the love of her life. So Apurva, you've also been from the theater background. I think you would agree to the fact that it's any play for that matter is so powerful, and artists are actually mirrors of the society.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
So actually what she was trying to say is what I believe is that she actually found the man in the theater, because watching a play like Vagina Monologues is mind expanding, right?
Totally,
And somebody who
totally.
actually understands the play and understands the intricacies of the play. And if it's a man, then here's a tip for every lady over here: please go watch the play and look out for the man over there, right? So
Yeah,
yes,
true.
or as
So
she
that,
said, yes, all art forms do just open your soul up. And
absolutely, absolutely.
the young, like our generation especially, while we have we've got this entire lockdown in our hands as well, right? And I hope, and we have seen so many instances where people are now, they engage themselves with so much of, like, maybe poetry, maybe somebody
Yeah,
started their
yeah,
monologues, and
absolutely.
that is really reassuring for the society. But there's a long way to go. I was reading
True,
Miss
true.
Mahabanu's interview, and she's very rightly said that it's going to take hundreds of years to actually change the mindset of human beings, right? And
Absolutely. That
especially
is
in
right.
India.
That is
And
right.
I
It
think she's
will.
making progress with a lot of women like us over here. And even if I see so many women and men, and stepping up, and
True,
that's
true.
really reassuring. I is she
And when I said, "I'm so happy that you found the love of your life," she said, "No, ma'am. I decided to walk out of a 3.5 year abusive marriage after seeing the play. So I made my ex-husband, but husband at that time, stand next to you and commemorated that moment." And
Oh,
it was, I mean, I said, "I don't know whether to feel happy or guilty." And she said, "No, please don't feel guilty, because I've been so happy after that." So I think this is a change and another instance was, I think about 5 years ago, one of the girls sitting in the audience fainted and started sobbing. First, she started sobbing and then fainted. And so we had to stop the play midway and we moved her to the green room. We continued with the play. And later on, she told us the piece that was being read out or being enacted when she fainted was where the uncle is raping the young girl.
yeah.
Yeah, and she said that when she was 17 years old, her sister, who was 10 years old, was being raped by by the uncle. And she walked in on them and she said, "I was shocked that my parents did nothing." And she said, "That has made me so angry and I've carried around this baggage." But she said, when I saw it happening to somebody else, it sort of brought a certain closure to me, to my
yeah.
experience. And then 6 months later, again, we were in Delhi performing. The sister who was being raped came and met us. And she said, "Do you remember the lady who fainted in your play?" She said, "I am her sister."
Wow.
So these are, then women come to us, and talk to us about genital mutilation. We talk about the statistics, and we think that they only happen in Africa. They don't. They happen in many, many places, including India. And I've had women come backstage and tell me about how they've been harassed by the community if they didn't allow their daughters to be genitally mutilated. Yes. And it's a horrible thing, and one woman told me that her husband had divorced her because she wouldn't allow the child to be genitally mutilated. Horrific, I mean. But I don't know. And there's several instances like this,
Very
Yeah,
moving.
I'm
Very moving.
sure. Yeah, I'm sure, and especially this play has not only been very very moving for a lot of audiences, plus the popularity of the play because of this reason. We have a fan who's telling us over the FP Live that she probably went to watch the show and it was a packed house, and she did not get a seat, so she had to sit on the ground outside and watch it on a screen. But she still did that. So her question is that what has been the most sensitizing response that you received, partly which you have already answered, and also what is the kind of audience that you have received for this play, like more men or more women?
Uh, well, women come, but lately I've noticed in the last 7, 8 years that more men come. And one of our extremely energizing uh, prob- uh, pursuits have been when we do the play for the Basti women in Dharavi. We got a little grant and then we merged it with a grant from Sneha, which is a wonderful organization, an NGO in Dharavi. And we did 11 shows totally free for the women there in groups of 300. We used to bus them in, we used to give them because they've never seen a play. They've never been to a play. They would come all dressed up beautifully, and some of them would bring their children, and children are not allowed in the play. So then one of them would sit outside with the kids.
Babysitting them.
Yes, yes, looking after the little kids.
Yes.
And the emotions over there were something totally different.
Quite sure.
And a lot of them also allowed us to video their stories with their permission, of course.
Yes.
And someday I hope that some NGO or some multinational will give us enough money to make that into a film, because it is worth watching, And so a lot of men later on started coming in these Basti shows. And now I believe that they have men mentoring other men in the Basti. The young men mentoring other men about violence, about how to, respect women. And I think that is a great
So amazing.
life-changing thing.
Yeah, that's an achievement. That's an achievement. Yes.
And we've helped individuals of abuse. There is an acid attack victim in Bangalore, and she had not gone out of her house for 10 years. She has been blinded. She's totally blind.
Okay.
And because of the burn marks, her skin had become the color of your T-shirt, Tulika.
Oh my God. Oh my
Of
God.
your top, yeah. And I brought her down to Bombay for a fundraiser because I felt that the audience must know where the money is going. We've got that little foundation called Make a Difference Foundation.
Yes.
And from there, we try to help these people by raising funds at various events. And this girl came down, and Eve Ensler was here. And Farhan Akhtar and all had come and helped us, because you need a celebrity.
Absolutely.
And another thing, you need a very credible celebrity. You can't have a celebrity who's already been, in trouble.
Not in the good light. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Totally, totally.
So she came and she stepped out of her house for the first time in 10 years with her sister, brought her to Bombay, and she spoke with the audience at the National Center of Performing Arts. I tell you, there was not a single eye that was not streaming with tears, not a single face. And she spoke and she couldn't stop speaking. She talked about how her parents didn't want her to be educated. They wanted her to get married, but she insisted on furthering her life.
Education.
And she said, this is what happened because I wouldn't give in to my boss's advances. And so he threw acid on her and she's blind. So twice we helped her, and she used that money very, very sensibly in furthering her computer skills, because now you have computers with Braille, And
Yes,
now
yes,
she
we do.
mentors other acid attack victims. Yeah, and she's got a permanent job.
Oh,
So
that's
those,
fantastic.
those are fantastic things, that uh,
Yes.
we have. And there was this one lady, very sweet woman, in Bandra in Bombay, and she came into trouble with some minister's son, because that minister's son always used to hold up traffic by parking in the middle of the street, and
Okay.
she's a traffic warden. So one day she got very angry and she banged on his car and told him move out. So the guy who was accompanying this minister's son took out a gun and said, "I'll shoot you if you come in the middle."
Oh my
And
God.
this poor woman, I went to her house to meet her to see exactly what had happened. And they had removed her from the traffic warden's job. She lived in a house where the clothes were piled on the floor. There were two
Just
chairs.
imagine.
One had only three legs.
Uh-oh.
And so we gave her a little money, and she was so sweet when she came to collect the award. She said,
Mm-hmm.
"Madam, what shall I wear? I don't have clothes. Can I wear my traffic warden uniform?"
How
And I tell you
sweet.
that she's a wonderful lady. She lives on the main road in Bandra in a very small little dark dingy house with her sister. So
Mm-hmm.
these are the people we try and find out, people, who really are worthy of help, or even NGOs. And sometimes, of course, we have not very good experiences, but that's okay.
Pretty sure.
Yeah, that's okay. And sometimes we want to help. Like many years ago, I wanted to help an NGO in Kashmir, which dealt with widows and orphans. And I
Mm-hmm.
was told, please don't do that, because if that NGO is getting funding from some quarter which is not in keeping with the government's ideas, you will
Mm-hmm.
get into trouble. So I couldn't help those people. So there are all these things one has to, but one does what one has to.
Totally. I think what you've been doing with your organization as well as all your plays is something phenomenal. Not everybody has that kind of boldness to carry on with doing what you are doing, despite the roadblocks that you have been facing all the time. And we have a very we also have come to know that you've written a very sensitive poem, which is probably the only one you've ever written. Would you like to share it with our audience?
Yes. Now, this happened much before I was in acting or as a profession. One of my friends, a beautiful girl, was forced to get married when she was 18. She kept putting them off when the parents started saying 16, get married, 17. So at 18, she couldn't say no anymore. And wonderful girl, very, she used to go to college at Church Gate, and she used to drive a car. She was very
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. And she got married and she went to Delhi,
Mm-hmm.
and she would come down to Bombay every few months, and every time she came she would bring me a little gift of a little pill box or something and give it to me.
How sweet.
And I mean, this little slim beautiful girl had turned into a huge woman. And I said, what is the matter, are you not well? And she said, no ma'am, Mahabanoo, I'm just kept in the kitchen to cook for the relatives who pour in continuously during and all I'm doing is eating. I'm not allowed to go out. I'm not allowed to drive a car.
How
And
sad.
one day, brother phoned me up.
I think a very pertinent point which she made in the beginning of the discussion, that parents have a huge role to play in the lives of their children. And a lot of privileged parents give children either too much or too little. They give too much of what is not required, and they give too little of actually what is required. And a lot of our FP live viewers are telling us that yes, which is true, parents nowadays are giving too much. And also a lot of times what is happening is that parents are also sometimes not able to understand what the child is going through. Apurva, do you agree with this?
Absolutely. It's actually a tragedy that has been going on since ages. While
Yes,
everybody
absolutely.
does understand that it is supreme to respect your parents,
Yes.
but it's a huge crime to say that and not to acknowledge basically that where a parent goes wrong in
Yes.
actually
Totally. Totally.
giving the child what's required, right? So as she has mentioned so many times that you know her parent also wanted her to become a doctor, and hence she had done She did microbiology, geology, and
Yes.
she did it out of her love and respect for her father.
Yes. Yes.
And I know
Absolutely.
so many people who have gone through misery to study engineering, study their MBAs, and now ending up and wasted so many. Not wasted. I would not say wasted. Obviously, it must be valuable. You must have learned a lot. But
Yes. But
by
that
the end of
pressure
the
is
day,
insurmountable. Sometimes that pressure is
absolutely.
so powerful that the kids actually either go, disarray. They don't know which direction to take because of the pressure of the parents. And sometimes it's not only the parents, it's also the societal pressure. The parents are
Absolutely.
also under the pressure of their own peers. So it's peer pressure is not something which is only for the children. It's also which is very much prevalent amongst parents, that okay, if your child has got a 99%, then why is he or she taking humanities? There are so many taboos.
Absolutely. I face that. I face that. Luckily, I have very liberal parents, and but
Good
when
for
I
you.
was actually going into my 11th grade, I was told to take commerce, and for 1 week, I was literally sleeping in
Devastated.
class, and I just I shouldn't be saying this on a live, but I myself signed it and just changed my course,
Stream.
and I took yeah I
Sometimes those
took
steps
my
are
school.
important. If you know that you are taking a right decision, you
I
might as
topped
well
my
take it.
school. I topped my school in that stream.
Fabulous, fabulous.
So you have to
So,
have that space and freedom, right? And I
yes,
think
yes, yes.
meeting Miss Mahabanu virtually has been an immense pleasure, I think, for all of us who watched her
Oh,
as well.
not only just a pleasure, it has been so inspiring because right now I think she's going to tell us also about this poem and about her friend.
Yeah, so this girl, you heard, and one day, and she told me that she's not allowed to do anything. She's not allowed to drive the car. She's not allowed to go out on her own. All the major thing that she does is stay in the kitchen and cook. And
Mm-hmm.
naturally, while you're cooking, you're tasting.
Obviously.
And one day, her brother phoned me up and he said, "I have some very sad news for you." And I knew at once. I knew at once that something had happened, and she was found hanging from the
Oh
fan.
God.
But she was not hanging from the fan because nobody had heard from her for some time, from her family. So the uncle had gone to meet her. And they showed him the body lying on the floor and said, "We've laid her down. She was hanging from the floor." Now I tell you that effect. I mean, I say even the parents of that girl were equally guilty. What was the reason to marry her off at that age? There was no reason. She was a beautiful girl. She was educated. She would have got a job. So then I wrote this poem. Will you? Can I read it?
Please do, please do.
And there are a few Hindi words in it.
Okay.
A Munni's born, oh curse our stars. Amma cries, the doors ajar. Bapu sighs, why not a son? Dadi's grief must weigh a ton, cause in India, girls are meant for burning. Munni's growing, lovely girl, Bapu's darling, Amma's pearl. Dadi's glowing, love is flowing, but the whole household has no way of knowing that this girl is meant for burning. Munni studies, BA passed, honors gained, hopes surpassed. Daddy says, enough, find a boy. Munni's angry, she's no toy. Who cares? Because in India, girls are meant for burning. A Munna, uh, a boy is found. Sorry, I forgot it all. Amma's happy, the boy is divine. A girl needs marriage to keep her in line. Punni seethes with anger red. They're pushing hard towards her fiery bed. Because in India, girls are meant for burning. Greedy in-laws just can't wait. Once Munni's in, they shut the gates. Give us money, give us things, give our son the wealth of kings, or this bride is meant for burning. Ask for money, ask for things, ask your Bapu for the wealth of kings. So Munni begs and Munni pleads. But who is there her cries to heed? Because in India, boys are all that matter. So Munni's tortured, Munni's flayed, her back is scarred, her legs are splayed. A match is lit and oil is poured. The flames engulf, victory scored. Why? Because in India, girls are meant for burning. A match is lit and oil is poured, and all that's left are bones that are scorched. Now Munni's dead and Munni's gone. Her amma's shattered, her bapu's torn. So what? Girls are meant for burning. Now Munni's dead and Munni's gone, Bapu's shattered, Amma's torn, Dadi screams and Nani wails. And as for justice, it fails. Because in India, girls are meant for burning. This is the poem I wrote.
This is so devastating, and to have gone through the loss of a friend like that must have been so sad and so disheartening even for you.
And you know, this is not just one friend, but you hear stories every day. If you see the National Crime Report, there are, I believe, 9 or 10 dowry deaths happening every week, or even more probably, because so many of them are not even reported.
Yes, yes, yes.
Just with
Absolutely.
the rape cases, you know, rape cases are not reported. The ones that are reported are huge, and the ones that are reported, the conviction rate is dismal, totally dismal.
True.
So we try to, you know, use the play for all these purposes.
If I can add, there's just one question that I would like you to address, is that what do you think, that do women actually play an important role in the perpetrating of, the ill treatment of women in this society? What do you actually think that, what women actually, it's not only men, right?
You know, recently, because of this Sushant Singh thing, there's a lot of discussion going on Facebook. And yesterday somebody wrote to me, I mean, not to me, but on the Facebook media, that women are women's own worst friends. And I don't believe in that. I believe sometimes women do it, like some mothers-in-law might behave, because that is how they feel the men expect them to believe, and to validate themselves and their lives. You know, they have to go through these men, which is what I always tell young women. You don't need a man to validate your life. All you need is yourself and your self-confidence. You don't, I mean, if you find one, that's wonderful, you know. But you don't need it. Don't feel depressed and don't say, I'm going to commit suicide because I can't find a man. You don't need that. And therefore, the most important thing, again, I go back to what my father used to say, education, education, and education.
True.
Because the minute a woman is financially secure, she can walk out of a toxic relationship. It takes a lot. I'll tell you that it takes a lot, you know. I mean, personal experiences have shown that it's very easy to say that you can walk out of a relationship, but yeah, you know,
you leave a part of yourself somewhere there when you walk out of something.
Yeah, and a part that you've given a lot to, you know, which has played a major part in somebody else's life. But I still feel that instead of continuing till you're too old to enjoy the rest of your life, walk out of it. You can still, I feel every woman can do it, but she must have education, and she must have the will and the ability to look after herself.
Absolutely,
I mean,
absolutely.
I know so many single women who are doing a fantastic job looking after their children. But they have the ability, you know, to, I mean, at the end of the day, you need 2 square meals on the table, right?
Yes, yes, absolutely. Very rightly said that education is the only superpower we all need to have. Because with it,
no, I don't care if our PM says that hard work is more than Harvard. No, you need Harvard and hard work. You need both.
Yes,
You can't do one without the other. If you just work hard, you can work in the mines, salt mines, and earn money. But if you have education, you can, you know, progress beautifully. You can also educate your own children beautifully.
Very true. Very true. And we have a very interesting question coming up from the audience, from the live audience who is watching us right now. That what is your kryptonite? You know, like this is the secret power that Superman, like somebody like a Superman, has to deprive others of their powers. So what is yours?
No, I don't believe in depriving anyone of their power. In fact, it's a great challenge to meet that power. And as far as I'm concerned, as when I took up the vagina monologues, I told myself, maybe I'm foolish. I'm just jumping into something that where angels fear to tread. You know, I'm just but I do feel, and my son told me this, whatever he, in his speech at his college's graduation, he said that one must learn to be the best that one could, should, and must be. And therefore, I kind of use that, you know, as a tagline for my life. And I've had many ups and downs in life, but I have been very blessed. This play has brought me in contact with so many wonderful people, so many wonderful organizations. It's really been a marvelous journey. There's been a part of it that's not been so marvelous, but that's gone and passed and, uh, you know, forgotten, hopefully. Yeah, mostly forgotten, mostly forgotten. And
Absolutely.
one of the major wonderful things that happened recently was last year. My daughter lives in Atlanta, Georgia, in a suburb,
Mm-hmm.
and she wanted to do a fundraiser and wanted to do the vagina monologues with 11 American women, not one of whom was a professional actor. Somebody was a district attorney general, somebody was one of the best lawyers, somebody was into interior designing,
Mm-hmm.
somebody was even the pastor of a church.
Okay.
And it
Very
was
interesting.
fantastic. I went there in May, rehearsed with them through June, came back, went there back again in the end of July, rehearsed with them, and 10th of August, exactly almost a year ago, we had this fabulous show with these 11 American women, one of whom was
Great.
my daughter, who's now an American citizen. But and they raised $30,000 in one show.
Oh,
And you won't
fabulous.
believe it, it's a very conservative society over there. The South is very conservative.
Mm-hmm.
And women who were 90 years old, 80 years old, coming and shouting out the word vagina. And it was just amazing. It was a packed audience. And to me, it was one of the achievements, to go somewhere where this is not the norm,
Yes.
where the word vagina would not. And it was just amazing to see a packed audience, 780 people sitting there, clapping, crying. So,
Fabulous, fabulous. This is giving me goosebumps, and I'm very sure all the audience which is watching you right now live from different parts of the world are also, being able to sensitize themselves and also the women around them. And I think it's not just about being able to sensitize the women; it's also about sensitizing the men, our
absolutely.
sons and our brothers and our fathers who are there in the society, because it's absolutely all for all of us. It's a societal existence.
Absolutely. And I do feel that when we hold workshops for children, I told the principal of RN Podar, I said, you should have workshops for parents also.
Yes,
They need their
yes,
mindsets to be changed because,
yes.
very often during that vagina workshop that we did with the children, even from privileged families, there was gender inequality. They
Yes.
said if there was an expensive school trip to be taken, the boy would get the first choice, and the girl would have to
Just
sort of.
imagine.
Which brings me to another very funny situation. I was on. Do we have time?
Yes, of course, please.
Uh, I was on this panel with Varka Dutt, uh,
Yeah.
where she had brought the prostitutes from all over India, along with the men who,
Mm-hmm.
the word is pimps. I don't approve of that word, but they are men who help these women.
Yes,
And
yes.
there was a panel of people like Shabana Azmi, myself.
Mm-hmm.
We were on one side, and
Mm-hmm.
on the other side was, I think Kiran Bedi was on it, and there were some two other gentlemen. And it was amazing the energy that these women had and the thought processes. Because one of the panelists from the other side said something like, "Arey, this is all paid prostitution and it should be done away with." And those poor women just, and so one woman, she put her hand up and she said, "Excuse me, ma'am, if you had a job that paid you 10,000 rupees a month, but then you got a job that offered you 40,000 rupees a month, would you say no?" She said, "I'm very happy in what I'm doing." She said, "I'm enjoying my work because I'll tell you, when I was young, my parents always favored my brother. He got the best food, he got
Mm.
education, I got nothing. And what was left for me? There was nothing left for me really but to go into this profession." And she said, "I don't find anything wrong with it. It's just a job for me." Which really, when you think of it, it's just a job,
It is
right?
eye opening. It is totally eye opening. Yes, yes, yes.
And it was very funny. Then, and also the third gender had come in.
Mm-hmm.
And they were all decked up like they normally do. And that next
Yes.
morning, I was at the uh, airport at Delhi, and this one transgender who was there, it was
Mm-hmm.
wonderful. I was standing in line for the uh, baggage check-in,
Yeah.
Yeah, Didi, and she came and she hugged me, and everybody's turning around. These are wonderful experiences, with people
Yes.
normally you would not have a chance to interact.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Miss Mahabanoo, I mean, I think we have had a very, very fun and very full of learning interaction today. So, what is that one thing you would like to leave our audiences with, especially the youth, on one inspiring thing that you would like to tell them that, how should they lead their lives and on a positive note?
They must lead their lives the way they want to. I always tell young people, you must question. You must question yourself, your parents, your teachers, your religion. Because religion very often plays a very negative role in everybody's life. I'm sorry, that's the way I feel. It's divisive, it makes you hate each other, and therefore you must question it. And if it doesn't make rational sense to you, you drop whatever it is that you are, thinking about.
Thank you so much for that. I absolutely agree with it. Absolutely agree with it.
This is the one thing I will tell, that you keep questioning. Because if you don't question, you cannot change.
Yeah.
But question and then just say, oh, this is rubbish, so I'm going to carry on doing what I'm doing. Not for that. Be logical in the way you think.
Absolutely.
Thank you for that wonderful parting note. And I think what everybody of us at any age that we are need to know and need to learn and need to remember all the time is that curiosity is the most important thing. We need to question whatever we are doing, whatever you've done, and whatever we might do, and also seek answers which are progressive and which keep us on the right track. So thank you so much on behalf of Artist Circle. I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to you, Ms. Mahabanoo.
Not at all.
And thank you for sharing your extraordinary journey, and thank you for inspiring all the people around here, all artists, youngsters, and everybody else who is watching.
Thank you very much.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
And thank you, Apurvah, for joining us here. Have a great evening.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.